Fox News alert. Back to work they go. The Senate now gaveling back into session to work on a short-term extension of federal highway programs. The bill faced pushback from Senate Republicans last night after passing in the House in a 365 to 51 vote. We'll bring you more updates as the session gets underway. Griff.
And for more on the spending bill negotiations on Capitol Hill, we are joined by Democrat Congressman from Massachusetts and member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Jake Auchincloss. Congressman, thank you for taking time on a Saturday. Obviously, what you're seeing there in the Senate, very important to prevent construction workers from losing their jobs, from highway programs from being suspended. What is your overall reaction to what we've seen here in just the last 48 hours after a tumultuous week?
Thanks for having me on. The Senate's vote is going to give us another 30 days of negotiating window for us to deliver the president's agenda. We are going to build back from the bottom up and the middle out. We're going to deliver both bills, and it's going to be an important way that we demonstrate on the world stage that democracies can win the 21st century. When President Biden came to the House caucus yesterday, he said to us, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin have both said to me, I don't think that democracies can make decisions fast enough to compete in this century. We're going to show them wrong.
And Congressman, you obviously were tweeting this week about the whole process, saying that the American people don't remember the process, they remember the results. You mentioned the president's agenda. Your colleague, Democrat Congressman Josh Gottheimer, putting out a pretty straightforward, harsh statement saying that he believes that the far left faction of your party could put the entire president's agenda at risk. Your reaction?
Politics is a full contact sport. Anytime you're on the field, emotions run high, adrenaline gets amped. Ultimately, though, my constituents, Americans broadly, don't care about our feelings. They don't even really care about our interactions with one another, whether they get tense, whether they're amicable. What they care is that we deliver results. And going into 2022, we're going to be able to talk to our voters about how we lowered costs for working families, about how we made early education available for all 3- and 4-year-olds, about how we lowered out-of-pocket costs for health care, about how we rebuilt our roads and bridges and transit and high-speed internet.
Congressman, I think you're right. The American people really just want those results. But let me play for you the chairwoman of the Progressive Caucus, Congresswoman Jayapal, had this to say after stopping the speaker's plans in her tracks. Here's what she had to say. Listen.
You all didn't believe me, but I kept saying we're not going to have a vote. And I kept telling her that we didn't have the votes, and I knew she knew that.
A little bit of a victory lap there. So I ask you, Congressman, has the progressive wing of the party, which according to Jayapal is about 40% of the entire Democratic caucus, her words, not mine, have the progressive taken over the Democrat Party?
We're a coalition in the Democratic Party. We're not a cult of personality like the GOP under Trump. The GOP under Trump wakes up every morning, looks at Twitter for their marching orders, and we saw how that worked for 4 years of his administration. That's not the way the Democrats are going to govern. We still believe in vigorous, full-throated debate, and we're going to have that vigorous debate. It's going to make our policies better. We're going to have that debate in public. We're going to have it in private. That's healthy for a democracy. It's part of how we demonstrate that democracies actually can make big decisions and big investments in the 21st century. Ultimately, though, the Democratic caucus is united that we have to deliver the Build Back Better agenda. Both bills need to be passed.
All right, Congressman, I want to ask you to look into your crystal ball a little bit. Obviously, the two pieces of legislation now are attached, and the president even admitting as much. How does this end? When does this resolve?
My crystal ball probably is no better than yours, except to say that I am confident we're going to pass both. I'm confident that the reconciliation bill, is going to have big investments in lowering costs for working families, specifically through the child tax credit and through early education. We're going to have big investments in climate action because we know we can't leave a planet that's overheated to our kids. And we are going to make investments in health care to ensure that people are paying less out of pocket and that we are expanding access to health insurance for those people who have been left behind, frankly, by Republican governors and state legislatures.
Last question, just a few seconds. Do you predict that $3.5 trillion number comes way down?
I think we know that we need to negotiate within the party for that number to come down. And I'm less worried about the top line. I'm more worried about the policies inherent in the bill. Early education is vital. Climate action is vital. Lowering healthcare out-of-pocket costs is vital. We can deliver on those things and still get to a number that passes the Senate.
All right, we look forward to it. We will have you back. Thank you, Congressman Jake Auchincloss from Massachusetts.
Good to be with you.
Alicia?
And Griff, we have some live images to show you from Washington, where the annual Women's March is taking place. Speakers are expected to address reproductive rights. It's one of hundreds of rallies planned for cities across the United States. The movement hasn't attracted as much attention in recent years, but in 2017, for the first Women's March, more than 1 million showed up in Washington wearing memorable pink knit hats. Griff.
Alicia, coming up,